Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. NBA playoffs is officially here. Playing tournament is off to a good start for me. I'm recording this before Friday night's game, so I don't know how I did on Friday night. But I'm 3-1 against the spread so far, so a great start. Last year's NBA postseason, I finished 60.1%, so I'm aiming high. Got high expectations here. Hopefully, I'm able to live up to the hype. And this one, I'm doing Orlando at Cleveland, Game 1. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, Magic, Cavs in Cleveland. Cavs are laying 4.5 points at home. The total sitting at 207.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, the Magic should win this one outright. Final score, 112-110 Orlando. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Orlando, and we have nobody. Nobody on the report for the Magic as of right now, so Orlando should be completely good to go. On the Cleveland side, Dean Wade has been ruled out, so no Dean Wade. Also, Craig Porter, it looks like he's going to miss this game as well. Other than that, everyone should be good to go for the Cavs. Betting trends on the Orlando side, Magic definitely not coming into the postseason playing their best basketball. Just 4-8 against the spread in their last 12, including 4 straight road losses. 0-4 straight up and against the spread in their last 4 on the road. They're trending heavily towards overs. Orlando's 5-2 to the over in their last 7. The good news for the Magic is Cleveland is also not playing their best basketball. Just 10-20 against the spread since the All-Star break, the Cavs are. Just 4-10 against the spread in their last 14. I guess if you're looking for something positive for Cleveland, you can say they're 5-5 against the spread in their last 10 at home. So they've been playing slightly better at home. But as a whole, you'd have to say both of these teams are playing their worst basketball of the season entering the playoffs. And Orlando isn't the only team that's been trending towards overs. Cleveland, 9-3 to the over in their last 12, 8-1 to the over in their last 9 at home. So the over's been hitting at a high rate for both these teams. All right, so let's start with some head-to-head matchups, and these two teams split this season 2-2, and they split home and away too. 1-1 in Orlando, 1-1 in Cleveland. Most recent matchup was all the way back in February on the 22nd. That was at Cleveland, and Orlando did win that game 116-109. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with some net efficiency numbers in the last 10 games. Orlando's got the edge here, 13th in net efficiency to 20th for Cleveland. Not overwhelming. Both these teams have been pretty mediocre on paper. Strength of schedule, 19th and 20th. So both of these teams have been pretty mediocre on paper against a pretty mediocre schedule. I think the biggest takeaway from this graphic is Cleveland's defensive rating. In the last 10 games, the Cavs are 27th in overall defensive efficiency. This is a team that was in the top 5 of defensive efficiency for the first 2-3 months of the season. But I do have some good news for the Cavs defense. Yes, they're struggling to contest shots. They're 29th in defensive effective field goal percentage in the last 10. Yes, they can't keep their opponents off the offensive glass. 25th in defensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games. But look at the turnovers. 4th. There's one thing Cleveland's defense is still doing at an elite level, and it's forcing turnovers. And you might be looking at Orlando's offense thinking, Kyle, a 17th isn't that bad offensively. But look what happens when I switch it from the last 10 games to the full season numbers. 26th. Orlando's had serious problems protecting the basketball this whole season, mostly because they lack a true point guard. But turnovers are a problem for Magic, and Cleveland's defense, despite going through it, they're still forcing turnovers, and we've seen this matchup give Orlando problems this year. Orlando 51-31 against the spread, best in the NBA this year, but they're just 2-7 against the spread against top 5 defenses and forcing turnovers. So I love that angle for the Cavs that they've been forcing turnovers recently. Another factor in this game is going to be Cleveland's interior defense. Which one is going to show up? As you can see in the last 10 games, the Cavs have been pretty mediocre defensively down low. This is an Orlando offense that's taking over 50% of their shots from 12 feet and inside. The reason this is difficult to predict is Cleveland from October to January had probably the second best interior defense in the NBA next to Minnesota. Just hasn't been there recently. If the Cleveland defense of the first half of the season shows up, I think the Cavs win this game easily. But that's a big if because we really haven't seen it in a while. But here's the thing I will say about Cleveland's defense. It's really where they've been struggling that's important here because it's the three-point line. The Cavs' perimeter defense is where they've fallen off the most. The reason that's significant, Orlando hasn't had much of an outside shooting presence all season. Look at Orlando's three-point shooting numbers from the last several games here. Milwaukee, 11 of 35, 31.4%. I'm not going to read them all. I'm going to put them on the screen here. I'll give them a pass for Philadelphia and Houston. Both of those teams have been elite defending the three-point shot. But Milwaukee twice. Chicago, a home game against Chicago, just 11 of 34, 32.4%. Charlotte, 9 of 38, just 23.7%. So we got a Cavs defense that's really struggling to defend the three-point shot. Is Orlando really equipped with the tools to exploit that? I mean, Orlando can't shoot the three ball. But before we all go and hammer Cleveland, we also have to acknowledge that the Cavs may struggle to score points themselves. Offensive rebound opportunities probably won't be there. Also, we talked about how Orlando is going to have turnover problems in this game. What about Cleveland? In the last 10 games, 2nd to 21st in that department. As far as the shot zones for the Cavs offense, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. For most of the season, Cleveland was a three-point reliant offense. In the last 10 games, they're taking just 39% of their shots from three. That's a very average amount. And the Orlando defense against the three-point shot is pretty average, about middle of the pack. And if you look at the interior numbers, you can see this has been more of a focus for the Cavs recently, and they've been pretty good at it. But Orlando's defense on the interior is solid. I mean, not elite, but above average. So it's really nothing to look at here. No angles. Here's what gives me hope for Cleveland's offense, and hear me out on this. This Cavs offense has shown up the last couple times they had these big must-win games. The most recent one, April 12th versus the Pacers, an Eastern Conference playoff team. Cleveland put up 129 points, shot over 52% from the floor, over 40% from three, 64 points in the paint. Now, I get it. It's the Pacers off. They won this game, by the way. It's the Pacers defense. Let's not throw them a parade for it. But before that, the last must-win game they had, March 29th against Philadelphia. 117 points, shot 55% from the floor, over 43% from three, 54 points in the paint. Cleveland won both of these games, and these are the only two games in the last 27 days where the Cavs have played an Eastern Conference playoff team. So these are the two biggest games Cleveland's had in the last month. They won both of them, and the offense showed up both times. So I'm going to roll with them here. I'm on Cleveland. I'm taking the Cavs -4.5. I also like the over, but I don't know if I actually bet this one. The reason I like the over, both these teams combined 14-5 to the over in their last 19 games. I think both of these defenses might be a little overvalued. I think they were playing their basketball earlier in this best basketball earlier in the season. So that's why I like the over. But UCapper sent me this. I'm going to read you what he sent me. So this is between 4 and 5 seeds. Since the 2014-2015 playoffs, those game ones between 4 and 5 seeds, 14-4 to the under. So that makes it tough to take an over. So it'll be over or pass. I'm taking the Cavs and over or pass. That's where I'm at. Live show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We got NHL first, then NBA, and then MLB. Back to back to back. So that's 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets or top bets for anyone on our staff here, head over to KyleKirms.com. They're posted right on the website, along with a link to join the Discord if you're interested. Let's have ourselves a great weekend. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I had a great Friday night. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.